Previously on Follow the Leader.
Today we're playing You Can Check Out Anytime You Like, but You Can Never Leave by Marn S. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. You Can Check Out Anytime You Like is a hack of Mobile Frame Zero Firebrand about the world's only hotel removed from time and space. Create messy entanglements and to inject surreal horror into the everyday. Fight with friends, kiss your doppelganger, ally with someone shady.
I will be playing Dave, pronouns he, him. His three traits are exhausted, thoughtful, and I have written empathetic as the third one, crossed it out, and written judgmental instead.
I will be playing Marnie Sands, pronouns she, her. Her traits are inquisitive, gentle, and naive.
In my case, much like how August has Marnie, I have picked back up on Thorn, Hecastocles. They, it pronouns for this one. The traits that I've selected for Thorn here are detached, lonely, and feral.
And I am technically playing Staff. My character name is Birdie, uses she, they pronouns. Traits are kind, loyal, and distorted. That can be what kicks Thorn off if you like.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because it's a very reasonable thing, right? Something that grows in the garden. If it's a little too wild, you cut it back a little.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like I'm setting up like some trellis on one side and trying to weave this plant that we don't understand back from the vegetables so they don't get choked out by it. And maybe like I get a bit like twisted up around my wrist and I'm like, so I cut that off. Because again, we've been told don't antagonize, but it's sort of like a, without even thinking, just like snip the tendril that's caught around my hand.
Yeah, I think it's not as if it's a reaction of fear or of retaliation necessarily, so much more as the sudden severance of like a nerve ending almost, right? Is what draws attention.
Like a myclonic jerk. Like sort of like a, oh, that's something that just happened to my body.
There's something there that needs to be paid attention to.
Okay.
And you know, go ahead.
No, you should say probably what the full reaction is, because then I was just going to read out what conducting the chase is.
Yeah, I think what it is we said it'll start slow, and I'm imagining in my mind's eye again that sort of Shudder show, right? Of Birdie proceeding through various places, and it's a montage almost where you can see there are scenes normally, and in the corners there's just leaves or vines or flowers poking out from places where they shouldn't quite be.
All right, then, not knowing yet that she needs to find a safe destination, I think it's probably management office. So.
Yep. So to set the rules here, conducting the chase, the Cory conducts the chase. First, they say where they're going, what safe destination in the hotel is their end goal, why do they think they will be safe there, and if they don't know yet, that's okay too. They'll lead the hunter through a series of 4 challenges and admissions. Choose freely, though the third must be an admission, and then during the chase, the Cory and the hunter will gain coins representing the distance they've gained on each other. So, end goal, management office.
I think this tracks as a fun place to start, and we'll see the vibe going forward. I know this part of the hotel well. Follow me if you want, but throw. On tails, you're following me into unknown territory, and I won't have to choose any admissions during the chase at all.
Ha, very fun. Okay. Let's get throwing.
We now return to your game already in progress.
That is heads.
Okay. And so, I will still have to choose an admission at some point.
Yep.
So maybe it is like it's that increasing awareness, even if it was unknown before. Thorn is becoming more aware,
Yeah.
or aware with different senses of new places.
I think it's, in this case, the roots, right? Thorn has been
Mhm.
expanding for however long, just kind of passively around as they grow to stimulus. Sort of like how plants grow towards the sun. Thorn does some of that, but Thorn is also growing towards conversation, to sound, to movement. And I think this being drawn to a specific location in terms of awareness is also developing the ability to track that same thing.
Mm.
There is a network that's waking up around Birdie.
All right. I slide into an elevator just as the doors close. Follow me if you want, but throw. On tails, you have to take the stairs a long way, and I gain 1 coin.
Okay, we'll throw again. That one is tails. The elevator is a moving quantity in this case, pulsing with electricity, the kind that would scatter even a normal sensory system if it were attached to the wires. So much so more a plant that has yet to fully understand the extent of its perception. I think even just instinctually, Thorn has avoided this moving just room, and it climbs around the long path, around the stairs, but is now starting to extend itself actively into a place where it has not been before. So that's 1 coin for you, but now we're at the point where an admission needs to be selected.
Yes. I look behind me, and you're much closer than I thought. On heads, you catch up easily and gain 2 coins.
Coming up. That is tails in this case.
I think this is the point though where I realize how active this is. Like I've been seeing it, but maybe not question it. But it's one thing to be aware; it's another thing to maybe see the plant tendril actively following you, sort of a thing.
Yeah, I think in this case, it's at first it was just leaves and buds and other sorts of things poking around. Now I think it is vines actively hanging from the ceiling. And as opposed to earlier where there wasn't as much of it, or maybe there was a faint breeze at most, there is now that sound of growth, of crackling, of vigor from plant life as if it is accelerated, and that sort of dry scent of desert wind.
And to that, I realized that I didn't say it earlier. I think the thing that Thorn notices about Marnie, of Birdie. It's one problem with anything with the E sounds.
Yeah.
With Birdie from her dream. And I think this is something that Thorn can only notice as other senses sort of become aware. There is like UV radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is like a little tiny patch of like sunburn and freckling across Birdie's face. Like she's caught the sun.
Yeah. I think similarly, now that Birdie has noticed Thorn actively, it is the vines are moving after Birdie, but they are not forming a net.
So this is the final challenge.
Mm-hmm. This is the 4th.
I leap off a ledge and make a hard, precarious landing. I think this is one of the back corridors. And I think for whatever reason, who knows, maybe there was a chase between another set of anomalies who decided to rip up some flooring a while back and we've not been able to build it back since. I don't know. looks suspiciously side-eye. But there is like a gap in the floors. It's like it's not super long, but it is enough that you would have to do a jump to get across it. Like this is not a guest area. But follow me if you want, but throw. On a heads, you gain a coin. On a tails, you slip. And the chase will end now.
Okay. And that is tails for the last time.
Okay.
Oof.
No, it happens. It's good early on. I think in this case,
Yeah.
right, Birdie makes the leap, and Thorn is still handling or understanding its own reach. So it comes to a gap in a place that it has not been before, and the vines hesitate to make that gap. They slither over the edge, leaving flowers in the wake, still watching Birdie as she goes, but also desperately trying to feel out a path along. Is this a floor or a wall or a void that's opened up to Birdie, and not finding that way through?
So after 4 challenges, if the quarry has more coins than the hunter, they break away and escape. If the hunter has as many or more coins, there's a choice that can be made. But I don't think you got any, did you?
Yeah, and I have received none. And in fact, given the circumstances, Thorn is actually completely at mercy at the moment. Like, it is very clearly lost.
I think there is something not human, but there is a sapience. There is an intent to the way this plant is moving. That stops a birdie. She doesn't keep running. Instead, she looks. Remembering that one of her traits is kind.
Yeah, I think in this moment, as the vines snake further below into the cracks of that gap, sort of drifting up from there is the sound of bird song, almost casting around as if a sonar, as the tendrils pulse and search and snake around that entrance to try and find some way through, around, or even just out at this point.
I think Birdie slides just, in hotels, some corridors, they just have random potted plants. Will nudge something like a ficus with a big droopy leaf towards this gap. And we'll do a little whistle, like a bird call in response. And then take off. But it's sort of like this way, and then scarpers.
Yeah, and in the wake, sort of in the receding lens of the camera, there's that image of those vines sneaking up into the plant pot and starting to drink. And if Birdie were to look back for a moment, I think something that the housekeeping did not know is just how quickly that ficus deadens.
All right. Shrug. It's your turn to pick a game.
I've been looking, and I have not made a decision.
That's such a mood.
Time's up.
Do we want to be on break, or is it fun if I'm investigating Thorn?
Yep, that's interesting.
Yeah, you did say that some of your things have been going missing during work, so...
Also, a break could also be fun because, granted, linear time, whatever, but this could be a break after doing, morning stuff.
Yep.
Or your evening shift at the bar,
Mm-hmm.
You were having an extremely normal morning with Marnie. Birdie was having question mark.
Yeah, let's do working for the weekend.
Right.
So, working for the weekend or taking a break. The setup is anyone can play. Other players may join scenes freely if it makes sense for their characters to be there. During the game, anyone may ask for details of the setting, occasion, and circumstances. Begin by describing the first thing your character is doing to relax, let loose, or forget about their responsibilities for a while. So, conducting the break, we're going to take turns. On your turn, decide what kind of break you are taking to unwind. Choose a prompt from the list or come up with your own, describe what happens, or roleplay it out with other players. If no breaks jump out at you, you may pass or decide to head back to work or whatever you usually do in the hotel. It ends when everyone has taken a break, if no one wishes to go more than once, if everyone has passed in a row, or if everyone has gone back to work. Yeah, I'm gonna start us off. I've spent some quiet time in my favorite part of the hotel. Where is it and why is it so relaxing for you? I think this is just like the little office area on still on the ground floor, but it's just a little workspace.
Like behind the reception desk.
Yeah. For one, it's relaxing because I am not reception and do not need to be receiving people. And it's where I go to attempt to journal. So I am making notes in what seems to be an oddly fresh journal. And whoever wishes to may find me here.
Yeah, I mean, I will. I think. I don't know how long after what just happened this has happened, but I do think, like, Birdie sort of, like, comes in from the back door of it, and where the camera last saw her, her hair is sort of short and loose around, like wavy hair loose around her shoulders, a pair of sunglasses like perched on the not that bright out there, but as she appears in this moment looking younger. I think the freckles are still there and that little touch of sunburn, but the hair is longer and pulled back um, in like a high ponytail, and just like sticks her head in, sees Dave. It's like, "Oh, hey Dave, you all right?"
Oh, Birdie. Yeah, catching up on my journaling. What are you up to?
I was looking for some paper that I could take. I'm working on a papier-mâché sculpture
Hmm.
of, that ugly ass statue in the outer courtyard that you can see from the ballroom window.
Yeah.
I am trying to make a half-scale replica in papier-mâché.
Ah, well. Good luck. Let's see here. Office paper is not going to be the best for this. But you know what? We might have some old newspapers down here somewhere. One of the rags that none of the guests want to pick up, you know.
It's weird. I wonder. Like, we get newspapers sometimes, but I never know where they're from. I never see anybody delivering them. Do you think they just come in with new guests?
I think Dave's brow furrows for a second.
Sorry, I ask too many questions.
No. I
Yeah, but your forehead's doing the thing.
because I feel like that's the right question.
Oh. It looks uncomfortable, though.
Sometimes the right questions aren't comfortable.
You sound like Theo.
Well, Don't threaten to put me in charge now. You know I'm not cut out for that.
Wouldn't dream of it.
But here you are. I think we have a paper from. Well, it's a newspaper.
I look at the date on it. I think it's like 1972.
Mhm.
I like it. Nothing particularly noteworthy on the front page. So I'm just like, okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Do you peek at what Dave's been writing?
Oh yeah, but like not in a malicious way, because like journaling is private, but also have a little like. Because I think Bertie is shorter than Dave, so take a little sideways peek as you're handing stuff over.
Yeah. It's nothing salacious or anything. It's September 21st. Marnie. Toast, jam, eggs, turkey bacon. Late riser.
That's the girl with the hair, right? The blue and the neon green.
Ah, yes. Sorry, caught me off guard. Most girls tend to have hair.
Not like that.
True.
Not around here, anyway. You know, they have dyes in the drugstore. I keep thinking about doing something like with mine, but I'd have to like bleach it, and I don't think they have like hair safe bleach in there, just like the kind of like wash in, wash out kind of dyes. I don't think it would make any difference. Anyway, I should leave you alone because you're on break.
Always happy to see you, though, Bertie.
Too. I think I sort of turn on my heel and head out, like ponytail like bobbing a little behind me as I go. I think as the camera follows or like pans out, you would see her appearance shift slightly again. I think the ponytail just gets shorter, and the hair just like sort of springs out from a little bit, and her posture gets a little better.
I think Dave turns back to his journal, goes to a second line. September 21st. Bertie starts to try to write a number and can't finish it.
Nice.
What was going to be? Birdie is gay? Question mark.
Question mark?
Yours is better, to be clear. But I was like, wow, is Dave about to read Birdie for Phil? Damn. Cool. That can be it.
All right.
I know what Marnie is up to.
Ooh.
Marnie heads to the arcade to play the cabinets for a while. What's your favorite game and who's beaten your high score since you played it last? So Marnie's favorite cabinet in the billiards room arcade area is Polybius. And I think there are like 10 top scores. Marnie's got like 6 of them. I almost, and Cory, you're free to nix this, but I almost want the next top score to be THR.
Yeah, no, like absolutely read my mind.
And Marnie kind of stares at it for a moment.
Does Marnie have the highest score? Or does somebody else have the highest score?
I think somebody else has the highest score.
I pitched you?
Yes.
BHS.
Exactly what I was going to say as well.
Yeah, Marnie's been chasing that score since she found Polybius, but has not been able to get there. Like, the closest she's gotten is the second score, and that's like 100,000 points less than BHS. So it's still a long way off, but THR has bumped her out of second place. And she looks at it and is like, "No, there's no way. That's silly." And doubles down on trying to beat that score and fails.
I think in addition to that, Marnie will get the sensation of being perceived in that very like lizard brain kind of way.
Mm.
For Thorn, this has been practice with being more dexterous after not managing to catch up to Birdie earlier. And I think also it's like half study and half pride almost.
The visual of just a pair of plant tendrils around like the little controllers on a video game arcade and like a flower head peeping up over the top is incredible. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I think it's even that kind of thing where like if Marnie like packs it in for a moment to just like regroup, the machine will start seeming as if it is operating itself, not just like because most arcade like machines have kind of an attract mode, right, where there's like a demo going on, but
Yeah.
there's the distinct sound of like a credit being entered even though there's no coin dropped in the slot, and then the joystick and buttons will seem to move on their own as a game will be started in front of Marnie from whatever distance.
Marnie takes that as a sign to GTFO.
And then somewhere, if Marty happens to check back later, there are now 2 scores ahead of hers, both with the same initials.
Nice. Does anybody else want to take a break?
Good.
Thorn's exploring. I think it's stumbling onto someone else having quiet time in an unexpected place. And I think it's going to be Dave. The only question is where in this situation.
I have a pitch.
Let's hear the pitch.
Dave is unexpectedly doing something outside of his job description.
Oh, wow.
He's placing plastic plants in the lobby.
The live ones keep dying.
That's so real. I wonder why. Yeah. I think it's a situation where like Thorn has not yet recognized that there are fakes being placed out yet. It has not developed that understanding. So like as Dave is placing a plant like a little bit behind, there's like a rustling, and one of those vines just tries to like poke in and drain it, and it's like kind of like scrabbling around that sort of like fake topsoil layer. You can't find purchase. There's not dirt there. I guess the big question is, does he notice this? Does he hear the sounds?
Let's say yes.
Okay.
Say he looks over, sees... Maybe not sees you, but like notices the rustling still.
The pot's rattling around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think much sort of like how Birdie saw Thorn earlier, there's that faint bird song happening again also.
Well, just waits a second and just like, all right, whatever it was trying to do, it doesn't seem to have done anything, and just Dave goes back to his business.
It just wants food.
Okay. Well, I don't feel the need to go back around for another round for myself, but does anyone else want to do anything else during this taking a break?
I'm good.
No, Marnie's too spooked now.
I think I've terrified Marnie enough.
Good.
For now.
Alrighty. Who wants to pitch the next game?
Technically, it's my turn as I haven't pitched a game yet.
Oh, you haven't. That's right.
Give her a go.
Okay, I'm gonna do sleeping with the television off. Game may be chosen and played aloud by everyone as a downtime activity between other games or quietly by yourself while others are playing out a scene you're not actively participating in. Choose what channel I want to tune into and what I see there. I get to choose freely. And then because of what I watch, there'll be something about me, much like the dreams that everyone might notice. So I turn on I think I'm sort of riffing between two of these. I turn on a movie, and it's a sci-fi film of some kind. Looks kind of not low budget, but like low sci-fi kind of a vibe.
Hmm.
And it's this group of people running around an abandoned space station,
Hmm.
and there's like a plant in a spacesuit, and one of the actors looks kind of like the girl with the hair. And it's like, huh. But yes. So I'm sort of turning on I'm turning on a movie and it's showing me a scene from a guest's past. And I think when it gets to the scene where this group are running from something and they end up in the hotel's lobby, that I'm like, nope, done with TV. Click. It's all not in a scary way, but I think it's more like it gives vertigo. Like the realities are too close to each other for a second, and it just feel kind of dizzy and out of it. So I flick that off. But yeah,
It's more the uncanniness, if anything.
yeah, like an emotional vertigo.
Hmm.
So, I'm gonna say now. I think maybe there'll be something about the way that Birdie smells that is going to remind Marnie of that space station, and that Thorn will recognize but won't know why. You're welcome, my friends. My gift to you both.
Fun. Very fun indeed.
And that's it.
Who wants to watch some television?
I mean, anyone else can, yeah.
Yeah.
Or we can just go to the next game and somebody else can watch TV later.
I think Thorn's doing it. I think for Thorn, it's there's been people and talking, but now it's an active soaking of knowledge now, and sort of like with the arcade cabinet, there is in one of the currently like unused, like one of the rooms that's being turned over, right? There's a rustling, a fiddling, and then the hum of a television set being dialed on from the inside as a couple of flowers bud near the television set. And it twiddles through a few different channels before settling on what would normally be just very, very dry, like news kind of thing. It's not something that's specific to an area because it kind of can't be. It's all cast over the place, but it's like Weather Channel kind of things where it's generic enough and it's talking about like the trends in various places and here's the storm front and the humidity levels and all that sort of things. Very perfunctory kind of programming that nonetheless goes through quite a lot of different terms. And it's the buds, they turn away whenever there's the graphics and the other sorts of things, but it focuses in on the in-between moments, the banter, the one anchor point I like poking at another when there's a discussion happening or there's a description of an emergency of some kind happening and here's the response to that. All the very more human aspects of crisis, of living, of getting by while performing this routine over and over and over on endless loop.
Thorn's such a little freak. I love it.
Yeah. I have one, but it's gonna be kind of twisting things a little bit.
It's how we do.
So Marnie turns the TV to one of the white noise channels that Dave recommended to go to sleep. And I think that triggers a dream where Marnie dreams of that fateful time in the space station, and she dreams of being chased by Thorn and wakes up in a cold sweat, heart pounding, just trying to shake off the adrenaline from having to escape its grasp.
Nodding my head.
Are we gonna watch any TV, or do we want to go to the next game?
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Dave's too busy,
Mhm.
All right.
which honestly mood.
If we're keeping the turn order that we vaguely established, it's back to August.
Perfect. So I have a pitch.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I want to play I Want to Dance with Somebody or a dance because of who I am as a person.
Mhm.
I sing every time.
We're shocked.
But my pitch is the night manager has arranged a party for Dave because it's his anniversary of employment.
That's fun.
And everybody's invited. There are signs posted up around the hotel inviting guests and staff and otherwise to the ballroom for this shindig. Which is technically I'm supposed to ask my chosen partner how we came to be dancing together, but I just the image of Theo absently arranging this for Dave just tickled me so much.
I can see them doing that. Just like
Mhm.
as a thing to try and make people feel. Yeah, so I suppose it's a humanity thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For the workiversary of all things, which is just great. Chef's kiss.
Well, there's also something like the way we've talked about, like becoming an employee of the hotel when you've been a guest is like a very active choice.
Hmm.
So it is kind of like a celebration of that. I like it.
So, on that note, setup. Ask your chosen partner how you came to be dancing together. Other players may join freely if it makes sense for their characters to be present at the dance. What do you notice about each other? Are you awkward or self-assured? During the dance, anyone may ask for details about the setting, occasion, and circumstances. Conducting the dance, take turns asking each other questions, having the worst dancer ask first. Each of you may ask 2 questions, taking turns before the dance ends. If other players join the dance, everyone may ask 2 questions total, choosing which dance partner to ask for each question. Take turns around the table as the dance brings you from partner to partner. So Marnie and Birdie haven't interacted yet.
They have not.
And I'm wondering if this is the first time into each other.
I dig it.
Marnie's standing there with the drink, looking a little awkward, and maybe Birdie approaches to draw her in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. I think Birdie is wearing like a dress that she made. And you can see that it's like various like beach throw cover-ups that have been like layered up in the skirt. So it's like this riot of like contrasting like floral prints that sort of are tiered in like a rainbow effect. With like just a simple bodice, but you can see that it's been made homemade, but made well. It is giving big prom energy in terms of style, but like 80s prom without the shoulder pads, but that kind of like bodice and then frothy skirt kind of a vibe. I think the hair is similarly 80s. I think somebody watched like Pretty in Pink, and was like, yes. And I think at this point, Birdie's looking maybe like 18, 19 ish. Like the prom energy is fitting. They may be a little older, like early 20s. I think everyone sees the same dress, but I think Dave would see her looking like 17, 18. Marnie maybe sees her a bit older.
Okay. I think Marnie...
Who knows what Thorn sees? Who knows?
I think Marnie also wearing a dress. It is... I think it's funnier if it's a cocktail gown that the hotel provided. So it's about ankle length, got a slit up to probably about the knee height in one side, made out of a futuristic shimmering fabric. And Marnie is definitely awkward, but she kind of perks up when Birdie approaches.
And Birdie is like, that dress looks great on you.
Oh, thank you. A little bit of a blush.
Did you want to dance?
Marnie looks around a little bit and looks at her drink, downs the rest of her drink, and is like, sure. Still blushing a little bit.
And yeah.
Who's the worst dancer?
I feel like Birdie has probably danced less, but might practice. So it's that kind of dichotomy. Do you want Marnie to be a good dancer or a bad dancer?
I think it would be funny if she were actually a good dancer.
Oh yeah. I think then it's that Birdie's enthusiastic and clearly knows some stuff, but is not used to maybe dancing with somebody else. So the worst dancer asks a question first. Yeah, sure. The classic. I lose the rhythm briefly, stepping out of time. Do you let me stumble or coax me back to the beat?
I think... I don't think Marnie lets them stumble. I think she notices, catches on relatively quickly and has like a hand, puts a hand on Birdie's hip to kind of like guide her back into position. And I don't think she comments on it, but she smiles a little bit, and her cheeks are still a little pink.
Do you ask your question now?
Yes, I am considering which question to ask. A fast song bleeds into a slow one or vice versa, changing the mood of the room. Do you stay and dance with me or make an excuse to go?
I'm gonna stay. I'm enjoying dancing with you. I think I'm aware that I misstepped and that you didn't call me on it. I'm having fun. And I think at this point, because it's moving to a slower song, I think. I think something about me catches your eye and your look lingers. What is it? But I think as well as the look, you catch that scent as well. I think I don't know exactly. Maybe it just isn't even like the space station of it all, but it's like that sort of slightly recycled air or
Mhm.
the water smell of good water, you know, which is maybe what allowed you to be close enough to then notice something.
I think, does Birdie still have like the patch of sunburn?
Or maybe it's like a little bit more of a tan at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But as I added in the dog, it is a recurring dream, so I think it has been building a little bit, and the freckles are like fully in force.
Okay. In that case, I think Marnie notices Birdie's freckles and kind of pauses for a second, and then that's when the scent kind of hits her, and she involuntarily takes like a deep breath through her nose, and Birdie catches on to the fact that something has distracted her. But after realizing that she's been staring for maybe a couple seconds too long, Marnie like averts her eyes. And she mumbles, sorry, and picks back up in the dance. And I think you have the chance to place your hand on my shoulder, waist, hip, or elbow. Which do you choose?
I think she goes for the waist.
Nice. Marnie blushes a little harder.
Very good. So technically this is the end of our dance, but people can cut in.
Dave is here, but not necessarily dancing.
I have something to say. I may have something to say about that.
Almost definitely not cutting in.
Like against the wall, like in the middle of the room, just kind of hanging. Like where's Dave in this sitch?
If he doesn't join the dance, then the scene can end. But I would love to know what Dave's vibe is like at this party.
I think he is politely mingling while not getting too invested in the dance or any specific part of it. It's like, I have to be seen, I have to be appreciative, I have to be normal.
Be normal!
Is Thorn here?
Oh man, I have two routes, both of them interesting. There are two wolves inside of me. I think there is a corsage on someone that at first just seems normal, but like it's just one of those things where again there's that primal sense of being watched. And if you've seen the flowers of the plant that I'm basing Thorn off of, they're quite distinct. It's almost like a 5-pointed white star with a big sort of floor like pointing out of the middle. And that has been tracking Birdie and Marnie throughout the entire like proceeding.
God, I want to make Thorn dance so badly.
The other upsetting option that I did not go with was Thorn figuring out how to maybe inhabit a brain, but
Full Yeerking up in here.
yeah, full
God.
on manipulation of the gray matter. I think though,
I mean, if you wanted a less invasive thing of that, behave, all you Tumblr people out there, like the presence of being on somebody and just being able to use like the pollen as a mind control thing.
that is actually thank you for reading my mind.
I got
I
you,
think
my
it's-
friend. We are on the wavelengths.
I think it's this sort of pollen pheromone situation. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Get in the comments with the fanfic, though.
Yeah. I know not what body Thorn has chosen to take over. It may even be that it's purposefully nondescript.
Is it this corsaged person though?
Yes.
Is it?
It is
Yeah.
the person with the corsage. Yeah. I think it even is just features indistinct. honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is to the camera and to the people about. I think that same haze of pheromone and pollen that Thorn is producing is also having the effect of communicating, this is a person. And past that point, good question. But they're a person, and they're here, and they should be here also. Don't think about it.
Mm-hmm. God, I love it. Both the concept and the character.
And I think Marnie especially will hear just that same sort of like rustling voice that Thorn had in the biosuit, but unfiltered. Mm-hmm. It is attempting to form words, and it is not clear what the words are, but it's almost as if you're listening too close to TV static, you can hear like the sibilants, like the S's, like that sort of sound, and the plosives, the P's, and all that sort of thing. There are consonants starting to filter through what sounds like a haze of rustling and the sound of someone that should be speaking.
Very fun.
That's coming from this very much invited guest.
I think it's your turn to choose a game, Cory.
Now that I'm mobile in a true way, what to do?
So many choices.
I kind of want to bite down on I think we're alone now. And I haven't had a chance to directly menace Marnie outside of stealing the high score or the second to high score twice.
Yes. Love it.
Okay. So I think we're alone now or stealing time together. The setup here is that only you and your chosen partner play. Decide how the two of you came to be stealing time together. Questions laid out are, what do you notice about each other and what have you heard? During the liaison, anyone may ask for details of the setting or circumstances. In conducting it, just have a natural conversation. During the conversation, either of you may begin an exchange by making an advance whenever it seems right. The other then makes an answer to conclude the exchange, return to the conversation, or advance to a new exchange if it feels right. At any time after the third one, any player may interrupt by having another character enter the scene. Otherwise, continue the conversation and exchanges until they reach a natural conclusion. Perhaps you part ways or decide to draw a curtain over what follows. And if you and your partner run the risk of being caught together for any reason, any player may have you throw a coin after any answer, and on tails you're discovered and left vulnerable.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, I think it's like sort of, not like a corner of a room, but maybe like a right outside the room situation. There's the music's still going, like things are, it's kind of reached that stable phase, you know?
Like an alcove outside the ballroom. Because, you know, like in hotels where they have like conference rooms and stuff, you'll have like those little, like, Yeah.
And like, as the night goes on, I think the sound of someone attempting to communicate and speak is slowly becoming clearer. And after a certain point and after enough time assimilating the noise of conversation and of people talking, Thorn has, and also with that earlier extremely intensive TV sesh, I think Thorn has managed to form enough of a system to extend a hand to Marnie and invite her outside of the room for a bit.
So I think in this particular instance, is Thorn still preceded by the scent of flowers and grass?
Yes, and it's distinct, but it's also, could it be perfume? Could it be something else? You know?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It makes sense, though. You'd have to confirm, Cory, that the scent is similar to, but different to the way the Thorn on the space station came to smell.
Yep. And I think part of that too is because a space station is naturally a little more sterile, partially
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of air filtration and other things.
Cool. Yeah. So I think it's that scent that puts Marnie at enough ease that she decides to follow this person to the alcove. Because it's familiar. It kind of reminds her of home a little bit. She's not quite drawing the correct connections just yet. She's just like, oh, this person smells nice and seems nice. Sure, I'll go with them.
Things that have never gone wrong before.
I know. You know,
Okay.
we're in public. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, I think Thorn is like latching on to that sort of electric appearance, but also the general demeanor. It is because of this sort of flow through of dream and memory, of kind of an unconscious recollection. I think Thorn is remembering a time where it was generally regarded with unease, and that was just sort of like its natural circumstance. So this new sort of acceptance, even if it's influenced, is novel to it.
Okay. I think Marnie starts off the conversation. She's probably got another like flute of bubbly, feeling a little emboldened to celebrate after having such a lovely dance with Birdie. And I think with cheeks still a little flushed, she's like, so I haven't seen you around here. Are you new?
I think there's a bit of the rustling and like a muted birdsong that could be almost interpreted as like a bit of whistling for a bit until the sound sort of focuses itself in. It's almost like a tuning fork for a moment where there's a pure tone that comes through and a voice starts to emerge from the tone as it's forming words. And it takes a couple of seconds, but eventually Marnie can hear, checked in yesterday.
The way that the words kind of coalesce makes Marnie kind of stiffen a little bit. And I think she says, oh, well, I'm not gonna say you're in for a treat, but it sure is something around here, let me tell you.
Picked a lucky time to arrive recently. First day through and a party already. It's already such a nice place to be in. I think the figure just sort of sways a little bit and under the influence of that pheromone.
Marnie just kind of scoffs and is like, yeah, they sure say it's a lovely place, but where are you from?
There's a pause for a bit and a sort of a searching gesture until that figure stands up straighter and settles on, the where doesn't matter at this point. Where I am from is now here. For now. For the future. But this one could ask the same about you.
At this point, Marnie's starting to feel a little unease, but she says, kind of cautiously, I'm part of a salvaging crew. and I made a mistake and got caught here. And I'm kind of wondering if I'm ever going to see the rest of my crew again.
I think there's a bit of resonance on hearing about the crew. And the figure sort of reaches out for your hand. May I hold it?
I don't think Marnie offers, but if you reach out far enough to take it, she'll let you.
Okay. And I think if allowed, then the figure would draw you a touch closer. You'll get more of that scent, and you'll feel some more of a heat begin to form around. Like literal temperature rising a few degrees.
Yeah.
This crew, are they here also?
Marnie shakes her head and says, "No, and I don't wish they were, if we're being honest." And then I reach out to touch your corsage, may I?
I think you can, but only for a moment.
Is it like, I reach out and like brush one of the petals and then the figure like steps away?
Yes, it sort of turns to make it to distance it somewhat.
Where'd you get that?
It was offered to me as something to wear to this.
I think at this point Marnie's growing a little suspicious, and there's the spark of recognition there of, this is a flower that Thorn, her Thorn used to, bloom sometimes. And she says, "Do you know who gave it to you?"
No, it was left by my room store. But there was a party, and an additional accessory is always useful.
I think Marnie, as she has grown increasingly suspicious, says, "You're lying, aren't you?"
There's a silence for a bit, and then that same sort of bird song again, faintly. Almost as if it's trying to throw it, but it can't throw it quite far enough away. But the figure does turn, and Marnie may notice at this point, as that suspicion rises and the effects start to wear a bit, that the figure's stare is vacant. Not really focused on the situation at hand, necessarily. The whole of the body is moving back and forth and responding, and the lips are moving, but it's not quite synced to the words that are being said. This crew that you don't wish to see, you were running from them, or abandoned, maybe?
This gets under Marnie's skin, and she like tugs her hand away and is just like, "I miss them, but I didn't abandon them. I just don't want them here, because what if they get stuck here too? They don't deserve that. Nobody deserves that."
Beautiful statements.
Hmm?
Just beautiful statements said in the service of irony.
Yeah.
I think that birdsong swaps more to, like, as opposed to the sort of tweeting and general sort of nervousness, it starts to move more towards the that sort of droning call of a whippoorwill almost. and the figure will start to turn away as if it were regarding the far wall, going, "Missed them, and no one deserves this. That is what you say, Captain." And I think that last word, that last captain, is... There's normally a tone that Thorn had in the past with it, where it was more of a perfunctory title, almost something stated as a distance. But how it's said here, there's a shift in that, and it's more unsure. As if someone is saying that word for the first time, in a long time or ever.
Marnie, shakes her head and takes a step back and says, "I'm not your captain. Marlin's the captain."
It starts to slowly turn around again. "Engineer?
Who are you?"
Glory." And that's the only name it will give. "But who were you?"
I think Marnie's backing up a little bit more as she says, "I'm Marnie, and I'm the computer systems expert. At least I was, and hopefully one day when I catch back up with them, I will be again."
Okay. I think in that moment, I reach to wrap my fingers around your wrist. May I?
Ooh, that's a good question. If it's all right with you, Cory, I'm going to say you may, but at this moment we're interrupted.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
You want to interrupt, or should I shrug?
I have been looking at whether I want to fight it out with Thorn.
Ooh. Yes!
Beauty.
To be continued.